Going out alone as a single young man can be very challenging and socially awkward. This used to be the case during my days when I was coming up as a kid into my 20s, into my 30s, and the narrative is that you are supposed to somewhat have it figured out by the time you turn 30. That's absolutely false. I Based on my background and being a Gen X and the social circle and the social times and economic and political times that I was exposed to, and I was coming up young and upcoming during my time. And we're talking about 20 years ago when I was actually 30 years old. I'm nearly 50. And so if you're just joining my channel, I'm an older man that gives advice and a perspective and a different lens, but a real, very real one on this channel. And the foundation of it is a self-improvement, and everything else transpires and so forth. During my time, I even then found it challenging to step outside of the comforts of my own home. And I've always had a beautiful bachelor pad. My setup is so serene that the pre-gaming, if you know the pre-gaming, is a party in itself, and you can easily get stuck at home. So on one hand, I'm saying that too much partying is not good, but on the other hand, I'm also saying that socializing and going out, making an effort can be also paralyzing. So which one is it? Here's what I say is that you do actually have to make an effort to get out of your comfort zone. Going out, especially as a man, it can be at any age. I think when you get older, it gets even worse. So the sooner you can pinpoint this habit, right, of social anxiety, that's what it is, overcoming it, or at least building some muscle memory around social anxiety can really actually propel you forward. Stay with me on this one here, because I used to be absolutely paralyzed. And a lot of this was in my head. I was in my head a lot. And my entire life I've been in my head. Some of this has to do with childhood, and I didn't necessarily come from a home that was nurturing, one that was filled with a lot of love. In fact, my background is very turmoiled. I no longer use that as an excuse, but I use that as a motivating force, it's a key factor in how I drive myself forward in life. Use that as motivation. Use my backstory as fuel to propel. And as much as I don't want to admit that things happen for a reason in your life, and things could be a lot worse. There are a lot more horrible things than my story that happen to people in life. But I have a story and a platform to tell the story. So be sure to check out my playlist to see what I'm talking about, my life stories. It would have been easy for me to give up and be signed up to the narrative and have that victim mentality that my life is of no use and I have no value to add in society today. And that itself can be a different topic, which I plan to speak about. But this is specifically around wrapping your head around social pressures, social norms, let alone dating life. Dating today in 2025 is a disaster. It's a issue. It's a issue, right? But if I was to stick to just this topic here, the way you build yourself up to actually getting out of the house is first, guys, you gotta plan your evening, your daytime, your day game, your night game. This, of course, does not mean and correlate to picking up on women. I know that that's what all the guys and us fellows we think about, right? I get it, testosterone, right? Some of us don't even have the appropriate levels of testosterone. Testosterone is because we're not even getting outside to get the natural gifts that are out there that nature provides to boost our testosterone. That's first and foremost, right? Which is why you see me in 90% of my videos at least, walking and talking, walking and talking, walking and talking. So that's one. Are you getting your walks in? as a social activity, as a fun activity? Or are you playing video games? I know that in today's culture, video gaming is a big deal, and there's some young guys and young men making really good money. But there's a big but: is a lot of us don't even change our clothes, don't even take a shower, don't even drink enough water. On the flip side, what we are doing is, because we are not going out and we are staying indoors, is we are reaching for the comfort foods, right? So if you think about all the comfort snacks, soda, even alcohol. Alcohol is a given. That's like most people drink excessively too. But now you talk about the munchies, right? Sugar. There's no structure around when we eat, how we eat, and when we stop actually eating, when we sleep, all of this. There's no structure, right? And things can get a little chaotic if you don't build in deliberate socializing hours in your day, right? You need to get out and meet people. Go to the grocery store. Make your grocery runs. Be very deliberate. Ditch the Instacart and the comfort of having your groceries delivered to you. Go to the grocery store. Some of the best conversations I've had are at grocery stores. Some of the most beautiful women that I've asked out and just had a candid 10-second conversation. It's either yes or no, and you keep it moving. I don't take rejection personally anymore. Of course, at this age, I don't take anything like that personally. A no is a no. Keep it moving. But your chances and her chances are high in terms of she's there to do shopping, and she's well aware of the game. There's a good chance that you can actually strike up a good conversation with the girl in the aisle, shopping for her whatever, food items per se, and you can strike up a conversation in the grocery store, in the produce aisle. If you go for a walk, you meet other walkers, and it doesn't always have to be about picking up on women, guys. This is being exposed to different kinds of people outside of your own home. Every person you meet in a given day, right? There's a reason why they're crossing your path, and you got to give that energy to get that energy back. We're feeding off each other in that sense. We are designed. We're social creatures. Human beings are social creatures, but men, we tend to sort of stay within our confinements, especially in this day and age where there's so much heat against just being a man. So it's up to us, older guys that are coming out of retirement, right? We're never fully retired. But it comes down to Gen X, really. It's the one generation that's being slept on. And I see a lot more Gen Xers speaking up in the YouTube community and adding their spice to today's life. You see, Gen X, we've rolled the dice. We've already rolled the dices in our lives. There's enough in our arsenal, like filled with stories that we're sitting on, but we're not telling, we're not sharing. So I'm sharing this with you. I struggled to socialize when I was very early, younger in my years. Turmoil home, a very strained relationship with my mother that eventually withered out. Lost my father to Parkinson's. I had a lot of issues growing up as a kid. So some of these childhood PTSD can set in, right? And you can use that. Everyone can use their backstory, their mishappenings, right? Misfortunes in life, and use that as an excuse to just be in your comfort zone and never break out of it. And ruminate on that story, that why you're the victim. And the only way to break out of it, for me personally, there's no formula, there's no right or wrong. For me, I found out is do the opposite of what my brain is telling me. Do the opposite of what my brain is telling me. So if my brain is telling me 100% of the time, my brain's telling me to stay home, stay home, stay home. And of course, as you get older, it's a little bit different because you know how to manage the darker voices in your head. You know how to navigate around those evil whispers and your dark self and subconscious mind. And I haven't mastered it, but I'm really good at picking it out and saying, no, 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 not you, not today. I know how to pick apart the different personalities that can, that runs through all of us. And it's up to us to believe a version of that. And I choose to believe in the best version of my story and of that self that guides me. And that's your spirit. That's your spirit. Not everyone you meet when you go out and when you're out and about is going to be a friend, and not everyone's going to see through your lens, and not everyone's going to know who you are. But people will pick up on energy, right? People will pick up on energy. So you got to fix yourself within, which is why I'm a big proponent of self-improvement and fixing your fitness life first and foremost, is because that lays the foundation to everything else that happens. I mean, if you're fit enough, right? I'm not talking about having a six pack. If you're fit enough, you're going to be noticed. It breaks the ice. So if you think about it in this simplistic terms, it's easier to show up in today's society. Work hard, be somewhat in shape, and win. That's it. It's that simple. It was harder during my time. It was harder. See, coming from that environment and my time frame, my era, we didn't have the problem, the dilemma of obesity that we're seeing today. We're not having we didn't have these health issues at this level that we're seeing today. We Back in my time, we were still competing with each other very much. I just happened to be the guy that never stopped. And now when I look back at my peers, when I look back at all my ex-girlfriends, and some of the men that I used to compete against back in the day, they're all gone the opposite direction. I don't even recognize some of these folks. I came out on the other end. I'm not saying I'm anything special. The only differentiator is that I never stopped trying. I never stopped working hard. And I hang the banners of Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality behind me, a disciple of his work and his work ethics and principles, and show up like a slob on my channel? No, it's not. Just this not. I would not dare to hang up the Kobe Bryant banners if I wasn't that guy, if I wasn't a Mamba, right? I even know a bunch of people in my circle that are not necessarily my friends any longer, but they call themselves Mamba. They associate themselves with the Mamba mentality, which is fine. But the thing is that these very people don't exude, don't look like it, and their words and actions do not match the mentality. When you come to my channel, when you land on my channel, you're going to be met with that intensity. The refusal to be mediocre, the refusal to be just eh. Just eh. No, not here, not at my place, not on my turf, not on my watch, not on these grounds. In fact, I encourage you as a young man, even an older man, be deliberate. Carve out a time to get out. Whether you're going for a 1 hour walk, 45-minute walk, 30-minute walk, use that as your social charge, as a source of fuel, right? That you're bringing back to your home. I meet a handful of people during my walks. I see a lot of people looking at me differently because I'm always carrying a backpack. People have now noticed me with a mic and recording all the time at my favorite trails. I just finished my dinner, folks, so I'm done. My fasting's already begun. I'm 1 hour into my fast. I've already taken a 15-minute walk. I've already come back. So tomorrow, case in point, is I'm going to make a trip to the local casino here where I live and catch the Lakers game at 12:30. I'm exposed to some beautiful waitresses. I am exposed to some of the locals here in Vegas, in my city. And also, you meet some real good men out there, older, even older than I am, senior citizens talking about life, right? And then I'm able to go out, socialize, meet people. And if I meet a girl, we exchange numbers in social media, and I'm happy I made a couple of new connections. Is that you cannot be scared of getting rejected. It's hard because I know as a young man we're also charged to pick up the girl. It's all about the girl. I get it. I get it. It's all about the girl. We give so much attention to it. That's just part of the social hunting, right? Hunting hierarchy. And if you got that hunting mentality, it's a good thing. That means that your biology is working. Because now we got to figure out how to contain it, how to structure it, how to create some disciplines around that sexual charge that you have to go out and get a mate, right? And equip you with the right game, with the right talking points, right? Everything from calling Uber because you don't want to drink and drive, from calling Uber, right? Getting in the car, striking up the conversation with the Uber driver, and then you can be talking about anything, but build those conversation skills with the driver. When you get off, thank the driver, tip the driver, thank you, hello, how are you? These mannerisms go a long way. You're building yourself up, that social charge. You're building yourself up when you enter, you know, the venue. In my case, most times here it's a casino or a local event. It's Las Vegas, right? Make eye contact with people. Smile. Smile. When you get to this point where you can go out alone and just socialize and meet and greet and not be in such a control zone of a person where you have to control the outcome of every single thing, because that's the kind of guy I am. I need to control the outcome. I need to control everything that's going to happen step by step, so methodical, right? And one of the problems about me being so analytical is that I try to always foresee and forecast and plan the result. And sometimes being attached to that sort of an outcome leads to a lot of disappointment, that you stop having fun in the present. And there's no greater time than the present. It's not the future, not the past. The future will be 2 hours from now when the night ends. Let's figure out how the night ends. And guys, you don't need a lot of alcohol really to even have this much fun. You got to be in your senses as well to have a quality conversation, be able to ask a girl out or make a quality connection and just exchange energy when you're outdoors and when you come back home, right? You gotta get home safely, right? You gotta be conscious, which is why I'm saying you gotta find a balance in every aspect of your life. Don't go overboard in one thing, right? And completely ignore the others. I am to a point now where I really can control my alcohol and just, if I say two drinks, that's it. I can take that beer and make it last for an hour. Before, I used to kill that beer in 10 minutes. Before you know it, within the hour, I've killed like 7 bottles. Then I switched to whiskey. And then I forget what happens the rest of the night. You know, I am not that guy anymore that needs alcohol to really get out of my zone. I strike up a conversation almost anywhere. And yes, mostly it's women, right? Mostly it's women. But every now and then you'll meet a quality brother and you'll see a man struggling. And I'm very good at picking these things up, and I can quickly associate the emotions that person is exuding, but I can also read that that's not, there's something there. You can tell when a person is dealing with something like the pain, right? It's there. And I've met some really good people fighting life like this. I think as a young man today, when you look at the news, the mainstream media, and what they're making men out to be, that you would think that men are, our species, our gender is evil. Like we are that bad. Like men are evil. Like that's what's being portrayed out there, right? This is why I think it's upon us Gen X's as older men to share our stories and share our perspectives. That not all is lost. Not all is what it's portrayed to be in the on the news, in the media. The effeminate, if everything is effeminizing men in that sense. So I can see why in today's culture and day and age it would be very difficult for a guy, for a young man or a man, just period, to put themselves out there. That's why when no one is watching in the private hours in your quiet zone, when you're alone, solitude, I talk about solitude a lot, can be a blessing in disguise because that's where all the inner work is going on. You're putting in that work in the gym, in the diet, in the kitchen, sleep, right? I try to go out once a week, if that. And usually once a week does it for me because I'm in Vegas. And Vegas is a kind of a city that when you go out one night, you're done for the week. Because every casino starts looking like the same. The vibe all starts looking practically the same. But I have no complaints because I love the city. I love Las Vegas. This is where I wanted to come and live, and I'm living here. I owe you guys some footage from my night out the other day. I enjoyed some fine quality steak on bone-in steak, ribeye. Had about 2 beers and some mashed potatoes, and it was a great night. And the younger me couldn't do all that. The younger me would need so many drinks to numb myself in public, and that's when I would get a buzz. I would just have that liquor courage to talk to anyone. But when that liquor would subside the next day, excuse me, next day, right, I would have these withdrawals. I would hate myself because I couldn't. I was two different people when I was drunk and when I was buzzed and drunk, and then I was a different person when I didn't. When I was sober. But I like where I am at today personally because in my headspace, this is where it's all at in your head. This is where it's all at, which is why I always talk about self improvement. Always talk about locking those doors, unlocking those doors, those barriers. You get into this business, this area of life, it just unlocks everything else. Socializing becomes a lot easier. You still have to put in the reps. You still have to go out there. You still have to use your mouth. You still have to talk, right? So the way you talk is by meeting people throughout the day, getting the minimum, putting yourself out there, proximity. A lot of guys, from what I understand today, you have not asked a girl out. On one hand, you're not missing out on a whole lot, guys, because the dating culture sucks. But at least get familiar with talking to girls. You don't have to necessarily ask them out. But if everything is men's fault today, right? Men this, men are this, men ain't shit, right? It's all men's fault. Accountability, or just blame all men because of this, right? So that's what they do. So you might as well have some fun with it. You might as well annoy them anyway. Instead of giving them compliments, just be sarcastic. They like it that way. That's how they like it. Nobody likes hello, how are you? Nobody likes the nice guy. We might as well have some fun with it. So just play into the narrative, You're not harassing them. You're matching the energy. That's what I like to say. You're matching the energy. In a way, you have to kind of sort of play the game to be out there, out and about. So I'll leave you with this thought. I made a video about how we could be potentially one health diagnosis away for our entire lives to change and flip overnight, then how would you see yourself? How would you see the night out? How would you see putting yourself in all these uncomfortable, growth inducing situations? You would kill to be there, right? You would kill to be there. Why? Why is because now your health got taken away. It's the one thing that you thought you would have. It's the one thing that you were taking for granted. We always think that it's always going to be all right because this is just how it's been. We have zero regard for the aging process and we have zero respect for ourselves. And we just completely ignore self care, self discipline, self improvement until a health condition flips the needle, flips the dice, rolls the dice on us, turns a new page. And then everything that's happened as of yesterday and all the years of existence on this planet, all of a sudden, you start looking at it from a different frame and realizing how good you actually had it. That you had the opportunity to become the best version of yourself and you had the opportunity to go out and ask her out. The one girl you've been stalking, now you look like a creep because you haven't asked her out yet, because you're scared of rejection and your feelings getting hurt. Now all of a sudden you look at all those things and say, damn, if only I had that chance. If only I could. Well, you can now. You can now. If you want to take this from someone, take it from a guy like myself, a man like myself who's been there and done it and is still doing it. It's experience. Experience and pain in that combination is the greatest teacher of life. And until you learn, it'll continue to teach you. Until you learn, it's going to continue to teach you. Until you learn it, somewhat master it, apply it, and then tap into a different level of existence and being, and then pave it forward and teach others. That's what I'm doing. So yes, it can be very hard in today's society as a man to get out there and socialize and meet people, but then it doesn't have to be. A lot of it is in your head, and a lot of this lies in the power of self-improvement, tapping into that power, empowering yourselves through results, and your results will speak for itself. And just remember, be good to people on a day-to-day basis. Say hello, hi to strangers. Put yourself out there in proximity, not in danger, but in places where that aligns to your social vibe and circle, your energy. Okay? Till the next video, Mamba out.